Do you ever wish that your digital photos had that classic film look like it did, before digital? Would you like to learn how to create that film look without spending hours and hours moving sliders left, right, up and down and all that kind of stuff? How about trying to get that film look from yesteryear? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to use FilmPack 8 from within Lightroom Classic. Using FilmPack this way will allow you to get really unique looks for your images without breaking your current workflow. I think this is key. Now, whether you're brand new to FilmPack or you're a seasoned user of FilmPack, I'm going to give you a complete workflow from start to finish, starting with basic presets and then going in and learning how to customize them for your unique style. And once you've come up with that unique style or look and feel, if you decide that you may want to use that again over and over on other images, then I'm going to show you how to create a preset. And then you can actually apply that preset. One click, done, and good to go. Move on to the next image. With that in mind, let's jump in. Hi, I'm John Warren, and on this channel, I share photography tips, editing tutorials, and ways to get more creative with your images. FilmPack 8 is just one of those ways. If that sounds helpful, then consider subscribing so you don't miss any future videos. That being said, let's get to it. First, a super quick overview of what DxO FilmPack 8 actually is. FilmPack is a plugin and standalone application that emulates classic film stocks and analog looks. Things like Kodak, Fuji, Agfa, and Ilford films, black and white stocks, grain, color shifts, frames, textures, and much more. Version 8 adds tools like time warp, extra film renderings, and tighter integration with Photoshop and Lightroom, so you can apply these looks without completely changing your editing workflow. In this video, we're going to focus on exactly how to use FilmPack 8 from within Lightroom Classic step by step. Okay, let's start off in Lightroom Classic. As you can see here, I've got some images that I've made edit adjustments to, and I'm going to choose this image that is highlighted in the lower left-hand corner, and I want to crop this a little bit, and then we're going to go into FilmPack. So with this image selected, if I click on the Develop module, come over here and grab the crop tool, and then over here where we have the link icon, it says original, and I'm going to choose 4x5. And I'm just going to grab this guy and make sure I can get it over to horizontal as opposed to a vertical. And then I'm just going to crop this like that to get rid of this building along the side there. And I'm going to move this up to about, what do you think? That works? For all intents and purposes, that's going to work. So I'm just going to hit the enter key. Here we go. There's a couple of ways we can get this into FilmPack 8. We could go under the photo menu and choose edit in and then come over to FilmPack 8. Or I could have just right clicked, control click on the image thumbnail and quite possibly just clicked on the actual image in the document window. Let's see if that works. So if I'm in here, hold down the control key, click on this, edit in, and choose FilmPack 8. So there's a variety of ways to get there. Let's do this. Now, once I've clicked or chosen FilmPack 8, Lightroom's going to give us a few options to work with. What do we want to edit in FilmPack 8? A copy with Lightroom adjustments. Because otherwise, what would have been the point of me making those adjustments beforehand? All right. Since working this way, we have an option of working with either TIFFs, PSDs, or JPEGs. I'm just going to choose TIFF. It's generic high-res file. I'm going to choose the color space. I think I'm going to go with Pro Photo RGB, but if you're more comfortable with either sRGB or Adobe RGB, by all means. I would rather choose a color profile that has more colors available to it, more colors, more hues, all that kind of stuff. At a minimum, I would choose Adobe RGB. I'm going to choose Pro Photo. I want the maximum. As far as bit depth is concerned, why don't we go with 16-bit? You can go with 8, but 16-bit just lends itself better to Pro Photo RGB. The resolution, it depends on what you're going to be doing with your image. I don't want to have any compression going on. I'm going to choose Edit. As you can see down here, Lightroom created a copy. I have this dialog box showing up here right now. It's called the DxO Hub, and I have it set to launch every time. I can change this for updates only or never. So I'm just going to close that off. Double click on the title bar across the top to get this to expand out. Now we are in FilmPack 8. If you've seen my previous videos on that, you'll understand what all the navigation across the top is and all the stuff that's going on down the sides. So for beginners, the easiest way to start is to scroll through the presets and click on a few that may catch your eye. Let's try a classic preset, and then we'll take a look at some of the other ones. So a classic preset might be, say, we can come over here and try an AGFA, and we'll see what that gives us. And then you can see there's a description of this AGFA, and it was first produced in 2003. While I was out of the film world at that point in time, I made my transition into digital cameras around turn of the century. So I never shot with this one. That might be something interesting to work with. If I scroll down a little bit more, we can see that we have some, here's a cross-process version. Cross-process is basically when you're working with, as an example, color negative film, but you process it in color slide film chemistry, or vice versa. So now we can come down and we can see some of the Fuji Neopan 100, and we get some good tones coming in through that. And don't forget, once we're finished here, we can always go back into Lightroom and we can start to tweak the edits in themselves. We can tweak the edits here as well, but we can also go back into Lightroom if you're more comfortable there. Here is this one. A lot of people use this preset in their demonstrations because of the vibrance of the colors and the overkill and everything else, but whatever. So what are we going to do? Find something that kind of gets us there. So there we go. There's some Ilford. Not a fan of that. XP2, this was crazy good film. Really liked this stuff. Black and white film that you would process using color film chemistry. Wow. Maybe I'll choose something that I shot with during the film day. Let's go with this XP2. I shot a lot of XP2 when I was working for the newspapers. Only because we needed some black and white stuff, and we could send it out to the local mini lab and Mike would have everything ready for us within half an hour. So we didn't have to spend our time in the darkroom. We could go out and cover other assignments, and in between the assignments get Mike to process our film for us. So that was a good thing. Let's try this. Let's come over here and go to customize, and let's just see what we got here. Under film rendering, XP2 intensity is that. The grain is set to that. I think I want to zoom in on this. So I'm just going to click on the 1:1 and just come over here, and we can see that there is some grain going on in the sky. Good place to take a look at it. But let's see if I was to increase the intensity of that grain. I like that. So I also like even numbers, so I'm going to go up to 150. That works out well as far as the grain is concerned. In the development here, if I find I want my midtones to be a little bit lighter, I can just move this over, and I think that's working out quite well here. So let's go up to 40. So I like that. Let me zoom out again just to see, and then come back in and do that. That works. And what else can we do? I could add a frame texture or a light leak if I wanted to. I could also add in some filters, creative vignetting, and some blurring. Anyways, that being said, I like what I have here. So if you like what you've done, and I like what I've done with this, which is just a little bit of a modification from the default over here. If I come up to the top here, I can click on this, and this is the create new preset, and I'm just going to call this one John's Ilford XP2. Here is the creator. You just type in your name, when it was created, custom preset. Yes, it's still available. And then you want to put a little bit of a description in here. All I have to write down is modified the grain structure and development. Midtones increased and lightened the midtones to 40. Modified the grain structure to 150. So I'm going to come in here and write in 150. I always like to add in these values that I did, so I always know what it is that I've done. And if it happens to be a little bit too much, I know exactly which way to go and all that stuff. So I'm going to click OK. And now, if you're actually wondering how you can find that, so let's just sit there and say, we're going to save that. And I'm going to come over and choose a different image. Let's see. Why don't I just click on this guy? And what I'm going to do is right click on this, edit in FilmPack 8. All the same. Yeah, let's do that. Come into FilmPack 8 and I'm going to come over to my presets and I'm going to locate my presets. There it is down at the bottom. All the way down at the bottom, we'll see my presets. If I click on the little star here, now I've added a star, I can click on here, and now I've got my favorite here. So all I have to do now is click on this. It applied it, and now I can just come over here and click on save, and now it's saved it or exported it out, and we're good to go. If I want to crop this, I can crop it. I really like the way the tones came out in this, where we have some dark shadow areas up here, but we still have detail that we can see. Same thing down with the shadow area of the rock. Down under here is a lot darker, but in real life it was a lot darker. And notice that I did not completely blow out my highlights here. If I leave my cursor right here, and if you look over at the histogram, you'll see it's hovering in that 96, 97% brightness value, but it's not 100%. And that's what I'm looking for. All right, next we're going to go over and start playing around with Photoshop. You're going to love this one with Photoshop.